all agree issues affecting women and children are very emotive. We are all fully aware of what is happening in the country, in particular, gender-based violence and discrimination. GBV against women and children is on a rise. Women have been violated, discriminated against. The cases of violence against children, teenage pregnancies, early marriages, and neglect are some of the issues that we are faced with. If we do not collectively address them, the country's economy will forever remain unstable. The question we ask here today is, what do we do as a society? Where do we go from here? How do we get our women and children to safe spaces? This is a conversation we need to have, all of us as a community. We need to think about collectively taking action as a society. In addressing the issues mentioned, we have outlined the 4 strategic pillars that we are putting our weight on. That is women economic empowerment and investments, where our banks come in big. Leadership and democratic space, where our women leaders have to drive. Social and legal justice, where Kenya Law Reforms is seated here to drive that agenda on our behalf. We also have research and data. This is the direction we have chosen to focus on. This is where you need to come in and support us. It is not possible for the government or any one partner to address all these issues. You will agree with me, societal issues are broad. The gender space is huge. Nobody and all of us cannot just sit and say one person can drive the gender agenda. It is not possible. We need to have concerted efforts and support from various partners to consolidate our gains and resources, scaling up and putting together national initiatives. I want all of us, or to urge all partners present, to make commitments to reaching our target of a minimum of 5 million, of which my target, my personal target, is 8 million. You should clap. 8 million women with initiatives that will allow them to thrive and reach their full potential.
You know, what happens to our women athletes is horrifying. What happens is we have coaches who are husbands and boyfriends, and then they coach, maybe they have about 5 girls that they are dating, whom they are also coaching, and whoever wins the Olympics, that becomes the wife. And that's why you will find there's been quite a few marriages in Uasin Gishu immediately after the Olympics. All those girls have been married just because now they have money. I think we must do something. Those in the banks, thanks to ABSA, because they agreed to work with me on financial literacy.
Do you see a child running, panicked? That is a very good indicator of the state of public security. But in a community where you will see a woman walking at 10 o'clock in the night, it's a sure bet that it is a secure state. So participation of women, securing of women is a very good indicator of the level of security and public safety, and therefore the possibility of a country thriving. So it is important, it is absolutely important that we focus on this agenda. But why now, especially? Now, because I think it is true to say that the world is in an inflection point. We're in an inflection point, growing vulnerabilities, climate change, inflation, stress, and the first people to fall out of the net of prosperity becomes women. Naturally, they are the first ones. It is the girls in some communities who are pulled back so that their brothers can go to school, who are married off so that the family can be dealt with, can be taken care by the in-laws who have a little bit more, and things like that. But even in business, it is the MSMEs that fall off first when you have COVID and a shutdown. And therefore, it is the women that get impacted first. It is for this reason, because we have been having compounded vulnerabilities upon our country and globally in general. That is why this campaign is so important, because we really have to pull out and somewhat push the resilience to the next level of prosperity. We all know about the challenges around gender norms and stereotypes, harmful practices and things like that that I cannot speak to now. For me, insecurity, and I think it is important to speak a little bit about this because that's where I am, this is the last bastion of women empowerment, and it is absolutely critical. And we are paying very close attention. Interestingly, every year, the United Nations Security Council has a sitting on women and peace and security, which is an open session. In the last one, just before the last one that took place a week or so ago, more than 600 civil society organizations from 110 countries addressed a letter to the UN Security Council to urge member states to take decisive action to protect women's rights, particularly in conflict situations and crises around the world. We probably know right now the world is in a real crisis-ridden mode. About 57 active conflicts and many other, conflicts of different variations. And the first people that are impacted by this are the women. But we are also having another trend that is worrisome and that we must pay attention to. The growing militarization, the growing military spending, the undermining of gender equality, the technological advancement. I mean, the cyberspace has become one of the most horrendous space for the abuse of women, And because we are running behind it in terms of policy and regulation, it is something we must pay attention. And because industry and the private sector is ahead in terms of this area, it is important that we pay attention to an area that is supposed to be enabling, but that has equal measure of abuse and violence against women.
We also had what we call Women in Series, and these are specific, sector-specific platforms that we've created for women in terms of addressing very specific issue-based issues. And for example, we looked at women in construction, where we brought in a number of women within that whole continuum of the construction sector. Also, we were able to bring together a number of women professionals and practitioners within procurement and supply chain, and also looked at the issue of women in data. How do we find women in data? How do we find children in data? How do women interact with the different aspects of data? We've been able to co-design and come up with an advocacy and media campaign on violence against children. That is under advocacy and media campaign. We've been able to co-design M-Mama initiative. This is an initiative that looks at how do we ensure that women get access to medical services faster in terms of transportation. And this is already an initiative that is now spearheaded by the Ministry of Health. On women economic and investments, we've been able to come up with a curriculum. And you had already, this was mentioned, this is something that we were able to launch in Kakamega together with Absa Bank. And the program is rolling where we are training women on financial literacy and supporting them to access credit. Also, in line with that, we've been able to, together with the African Guarantee Fund and the African Development Bank, together with the National Treasury, we were able to launch the AFAWA Finance Series. This is Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa that is just trying to come up with a product that can be able to help women to be guaranteed when they access credit. The other one is Gender Parity Accelerator. And as a country, as a government, we've been able to sign a letter of intent with World Economic Forum in terms of establishing a gender parity in Kenya under the MSMEs. We've been able also to work with various private sector and public sector in terms of just trying how do we actualize this. Moving on around legislation and policies, we've been able to review and analyze a number of policies and legislations that we find are discriminatory for women and children. We've been able to also be part of the process of the ratification of ILO Conventions number 189 that looks at domestic workers, but also ILO Convention number 190 that is looking at harassment and violence at the workplace, place of work. Around issues of forums, we've been able to participate in both national and international forums. For example, we've been able to be part and parcel of Commission on Status of Women, the 67th session, the 68th session. We've been able to also attend the Women Deliver Conference. We were able to be part of World Economic Forum Growth Summit. We've been able to be part of United Nations General Assembly Session 78 and also Session 79. And we've been able to also look at some of the critical aspects around how do we find women within data. And as an office, we've been able so far to have two research that we've done, and this is research on the uptake of the time use data, but also research on violence against women athletes. We have a widows program, empowerment program that we are working on, and we've engaged widows within the counties, and we are developing a widows empowerment manual, and this we are doing together with the Kenya School of Government. We are also having an initiative around working with women in arid and semi-arid lands, and we are able to see how do we address the triple-double challenge that women in ASALs face. So what is our vision as an office moving forward? We are looking at a safe and secure society for women and girls. And how do we want to deliver that? Our mission is to promote and safeguard women's rights through providing advisories to the President, support strategic women initiatives, partnerships, and community engagements to foster a country where every woman and girl is not left behind. What are our strategic pillars? There are four. The first one, we are looking at leadership and democratic participation. The second one is economic empowerment and investment. The third one is where we are ensuring that we look at data and research. And lastly, legal and social justice. So this is what you can see on your screen. I hope it comes. Next is our service delivery model. Next. Our service delivery model, I just want us to have a look at that. Next slide. Yes, that's what it is. So what you look in the middle is the Office of the Women's Rights Advisor. What you see in different colors, those are the different issues within the Women's Charter, which are 8 issues. Then on the outer in black is the strategic pillars we are looking at. And what we see in the boxes is just examples of some of the things that we are looking at within the service delivery model. So one of our flagship program initiative is what we call Safe Homes, Safe Spaces National Initiative. And this is a 3-year transformative project that is aimed at reducing SGBV across Kenya. And we want to look at addressing systematic challenges like domestic violence, FGM, violence against children, among others. And this will be launched next month in Kakamega on 10th, which is the last day of 16 days of activism. And before then, we'll be having a series of activities that will be a build-up to that. So you are welcome to join. And what are the components we are looking at in this initiative? We are looking at a national safety campaign where we'll be working with communities and sensitizing them. Also looking at a national SGBV fund and also establishment of centers of excellence for women and girls.